Ladies and gentlemen, 2 more series here in North America. Both of them are going to be Elimination Series. 4 teams, all of them very much in contention right now for the summer finals. None of them, which makes it absolutely fantastic, locked in or by any means close to being locked in for the summer finals. It's going to be a great contest, and we will get to see it here live at twitch.tv/Warcraft. I'm HealingSat, I'm your host. We have Benruki, Supertees, and Zico on the desk. Our next series is going to be a kind of a classic tale. It's going to be Jamili and Peekaboo, you know, 2 people paired up, coming up strong together. You know, remember the Rogue Mage streams they used to play for like, I think it was like 5 years ago. I used to watch Peekaboo and Jamili, just hilarious stuff coming out of them when they were playing. Now separated, Peekaboo with this dynasty, the move that he's created. Jamili now is back. He's playing on M2KC. They've been looking great, and they'll have to fight once again for an opportunity at that summer finals.
Yep, you know, been friends forever, and now they're here on death row, you know. 2 different teams, a lot of bad boys, and we're gonna see who comes out ahead here in this heated feud that we got going on here. Jamili versus Peekaboo, best friends turned enemies. Who will come out ahead, ladies and gentlemen?
Best friends turned enemies. I know Peekaboo, he just says this all the time on his streams, like all those years wasted playing with Jamili. There really isn't any like kind of kindness between the 2 of them. Jamili equally, every single time we talk up Peekaboo, or Peekaboo gets an 87% Twitch vote, as we just saw there, he just hates it. He's like, wow, only Peekaboo can make this underdog statement. He wants to be considered the best player. He's looking to prove it here. And M2KC, they've had a really strong start to the summer season. Patch 8.2 certainly has been in their favor. Let's see if they can continue that streak with a win here.
The battle has begun. The move versus M2KC, and Absterge is sticking to his Shaman despite its significant weaknesses. And M2KC immediately looked to exploit those weaknesses, targeting the Shaman. Absterge was not pressured in his series earlier today. Let's see how he handles the pressure from M2KC. So far, it's looking good. They've already gotten Glider's Medallion from Rubcub. Psychic Scream onto the Trinket. Jamili's still hovering at lower health. WizK is going to be free casting, certainly a big threat, but one that a Holy Paladin can easily dispense with, I believe, with that Shadow Resistance aura, the Avenging Crusader for immediate area of effect recovery, the support of the Blazing Barrier, and the Crimson Vial from the Rogue and the Mage, respectively. So the Shadow Priest isn't going to nearly be as threatening. We'd like to see M2KC bouncing between Peekaboo and Absterge. Absterge once again stun locked by M2KC as they make another assault. Vendetta popped. The Ghost Wolf build from Absterge looks like he's still running it, even despite the reductions in its effectiveness. It is going to be strong in the early game, but when we get into dampening, certainly not going to be the same case.
I don't know if Jamili's actually playing Kleptomania. It feels like it would be really good if their strategy was going after the Shaman. Being able to just instantly strip Ghost Wolf every single kidney shot, I think would be really, really strong. WizK finds a Massive Spell onto Absterge. Just still decent pressure onto Jamili, and that's going to be the name of the game. Try to shut down Jamili as often as possible. When Roasties can finally land a kidney shot, if you counter kidney shot Jamili, all of a sudden there's really not that much damage in the stun lock. Fear on the Rubcub. Nice setup coming in from the move. Jamili gets low. Big heal incoming from Rubcub. He's got the Avenging Crusader and instantly tops off everyone. The Holy Paladin with that Avenging Crusader is just so powerful. When that's up, essentially no one can die. WizK now on the back foot. Dispersion gets traded out. Good counter aggression, good counter pressure coming in from M2KC as they look to reverse it onto WizK. He's got no dispersion. Greater Fate up in 2 seconds. Is there any crowd control on Absterge? Not yet. And things are looking pretty decent here for M2KC.
All right, it's looking decent. Good dispel by Jamili on the Hex. Immediate reaction time there. Certainly not losing any of his utility despite this aggressive push. Looks like M2KC, they're going to mix it up. They're going after WizK towards the mid-game. They've realized that Absterge is not going to go down without a fight, so they're going to try and limit some of the Shadow Priest's damage, extend this fight on for a bit. Absterge is surprisingly making the Shaman work. We've seen a couple teams in Europe doing the same. Perhaps they can overcome the disadvantages that the Shaman bring here with the Shadow Priest and the Rogue. This is a composition that the Move have been playing for quite some time now. They are known for styling on it, but equally so, M2KC's Rogue Mage Paladin this is quite a show in the lower bracket. It's almost surprising to see these teams eliminating each other so soon on. They both quite behind on points, or at least quite even on points. The tie is about to be broken in this series. Right now, RubCub is in trouble as the move look for a swap. This is easily a Divine Shield if they can get a bit more damage in, but the Gladiator Safeguard protects RubCub. So he use Blessing of Freedom to escape Peekaboo while he's Frost Nova'd by Jamili. Get around the corner and catch a couple Holy Lights. Good presence of mind by RubCub, knowing that he had the Gladiator Safeguard. He could rely on that shield. Otherwise, he would be down his Divine Shield in this position.
Yep, WizK still under fire. RubCub managed to hold on. He's got the Avenging Crusader up, but he's caught into a kidney shot. Is there any follow-up? This is great pressure coming in from the move. They're trying to peel it, but on the end of the day, RubCub, he has to use the Divine Shield. Now it's WizK on the back foot. Dispersion gets traded out as Absurge was caught into a polymorph. WizK playing on top of Absurge. He wants to be in a good position, full blind on Absurge. WizK running, hiding for his life. He's got the Greater Fade, finally back on top of Absurge where he can start connecting some heals. Is Absurge going to be able to keep him alive? That really is the question. And it looks like WizK is going to be A-okay, but RubCub on the other side, no Divine Shield for another 5 minutes. This is looking really good for a move. They have a big window of opportunity. The Vendetta is going to be up in 35 seconds, and that's when we want to see the move make a defensive push on a RubCub.
So Absurge activates his Earth Elemental. This could avoid a blind sap, as the Elemental will keep Absurge in combat. Although he's not sending it to attack anyone, it's kind of just hovering beside him. Maybe a bit of a mistake here. RubCub, Skylar's Medallion out of the way. This is a big opportunity for a swap to him. I'd love to see that Vendetta.
That was a bait.
Go on to RubCub, end this. I mean, there's really nothing that could keep him alive. Jamili, maybe, is the only one with Polymorph. Good stun by Roasties, but aside from that, there's no personal defensives of RubCub that can deny the damage that the move have available here shortly. When are they going to pull the trigger? Dampening is now 20 seconds in. Void Form is still rolling. They could at any moment. RubCub moves in. He's overextending a bit.
I think RubCub
He's getting baited into midfield. Peekaboo could turn around and immediately go after him. I'm surprised to not see him do so. Maybe it's because he's being forced back defensive. Both rogues in a bit of trouble, but Roasties trades first on his evasion. Peekaboo holds on to his for maybe only a couple of seconds longer. They go all in on Roasties with the Vanish stun on RubCub. Do they have any follow-up? Doesn't look like it. RubCub has Avenging Crusader up. He is going to be A-okay unless he's crowd controlled, and it doesn't look like there is any, so Peekaboo's in trouble. He evasions, but Roasty Shadow Steps behind it to secure the stun so that they can attack him during the Avenging Crusader, which then also forces the Cloak of Shadows as well. Big trade by Peekaboo to survive, and still very far on the back foot, although a mana advantage for Absurge.
I think M2KC, they realized how much trouble RubCub was in. Going after Peekaboo really limits his ability to go offensive in the matchup. Vendetta is rolling. Roasties could be in some trouble, but RubCub immediately tops him off. A great healing coming in from RubCub. Now Peekaboo in a kidney shot. Full blind on Absurge. Peekaboo in some trouble. What is WizK going to do? We're going to have to see him try to deny. Very nicely done by Jamili. He was able to shut down the Master Spell. WizK goes for a Mind Control. That gets kicked. Good plays there by Jamili and Roasties, making sure they really limit WizK. He was the only one that could potentially keep Peekaboo alive, and they managed to interrupt him every step of the way. Peekaboo still low as a result, but Absurge now out of crowd control is looking good. The damage isn't over yet. There's Vendetta available for Roasties, as well as the Smoke Bomb. Peekaboo has been able to hold on to his trinket. Spirit Link actually trades out by Absurge to keep Peekaboo alive. And the move is slowly running out of cooldowns. M2KC going after Peekaboo. This has been a great adaptation in their strategy that has been paying off.
Yeah, let's see if they can capitalize on it and net a kill. Still Void Shift available for WizK. He needs to make sure that he doesn't use his Gladiator's Medallion for anything other than that. If he does, big opening for M2KC. This match is going to be coming down to the wire here. Mana is surprisingly even between RubCub and Absurge. The cooldown situation equally as well. RubCub being targeted by Peekaboo. He's going to retreat away, not wanting to be freely attacked by the entirety of the move. Jamili's going to Frost Nova the whole team back behind the pillar. That's a bit unfortunate for the move. Stalled out on their Earthen Wall Totem, and then M2KC immediately re-engage off the back of that Frost Nova. Both healers in stuns, but Peekaboo could be in more trouble in this position as Absurge is in a Ring of Frost. WizK is going to use a defensive silence, but Jamili actually breaks out, secures another Polymorph. Gladiator's Maledict is absorbing a huge amount of healing on Peekaboo. They dispel it it off, but he's still very low. It could easily be a Cloak of Shadows here as he hovers on 10%. Gladiator Safeguard stripped off by Jamili. Big Pyroblast grounding by Absterge. Beautifully timed there, but still pressure is high. Absterge can't recover. This needs to be the Void Shift, and that's exactly what WizK was saving that for. Now he's polymorphed, healing back up to full. Peekaboo stays alive, but M2KC switched their attention to WizK.
They made a big mistake. WizK trinketed, Void Shift, Peekaboo trinketed, and Cloak of Shadows. That was a major overlap by the move. That's a massive mistake that could easily cost them the game. Now Peekaboo's very vulnerable moving forward. M2KC, Rubcub, his mana is doing quite well. Actually, even right now with Absterge, somehow Absterge has been doing a really good job managing his mana in this matchup. This is really back and forth. The move, are they really going to be able to make the Rogue Shadow Priest Shaman work against this composition M2KC has just been dominating with? There's a full blind onto Absterge, another attempt here onto Peekaboo. Are they going to be able to take him down is a question.
Well, they've still got Jelly Beans on the bench. He's been playing Mage. Maybe we see this go to a Rogue Mage Paladin mirror if the Shadow Priest Rogue Shaman doesn't work out.
That's a good joke.
I mean, if it doesn't work out, what else do you do?
Jamili blocks.
Jamili, why?
He blocked a CC.
He's in trouble.
There. He could die here.
I mean, Jamili's in a lot of trouble. There's a sap on Rubcub. He's got the Divine Shield and the Ultimate Sacrifice. Does he have to trade it out? The Ultimate Sacrifice appears to be enough. Jamili with the offensive Ice Block, unfortunately, does cost a major defensive cooldown. And now they're actually going after Rubcub. All that sacrifice damage being redirected. Kidney shot onto Rubcub. This is trouble time for M2KC. The move really capitalizing on that aggressive play, but they're going all in on Peekaboo. Kidney shot, combustion. Do they have the damage to take him down? Peekaboo drops the smoke bomb, trying to stay alive. Kidney shot onto Jamili, and now it's Jamili on the back foot, and Rubcub really doesn't have too much left to work with to keep him alive.
You say that, but Avenging Crusader is quite a lot, unless they can crowd control it, which they are for a couple of seconds, but I don't think it's long enough. Avenging Crusader is going to be a huge amount of pressure. Absterge pre-links to Polymorph, saving Peekaboo during this moment in time where he would otherwise get crushed between the weight of Rubcub's hammer. This Avenging Crusader is quite powerful. Still, crowd control is secured. Absterge has to recover through almost unrecoverable damage at 32% dampening. Peekaboo trades Cloak of Shadows and Feint to recover, but Roasty doesn't care about those cooldowns. He's going to keep shredding. WizK with a triple Psychic Scream. WizK trying to put the team on his back and turn this around, but it's just looking so difficult. Absterge can't bring Peekaboo's health past 50% at this point. He's on the run, retreating away, realizing that Absterge is going to be crowd controlled for some time. WizK gets denied on his Master Spell. Instead, in desperation, is going for Mind Controls. Stun on Jamili, Mind Control on Roasties. Roasties trinkets to end the game, stunning WizK while Absterge is simultaneously stunned. Into Dragon's Breath with 1 second left. Gladiator Safeguard gonna proc on Peekaboo. Doesn't look like they can take it off. Absterge is trying to fake cast the interrupts. He fake casts the kick. There's no counterspell. Absterge is bombing heal after heal. Beautiful fake cast by Absterge.
Yeah, 37% dampening. This is really a struggle for both these healers, especially Absterge. He just cannot top off Peekaboo. That's the evasion. That's the full blind. That's the Dragon's Breath. Nice setup here coming in from M2KC. Peekaboo, how are you going to get out of this one? Hammer of Justice comes in from Rubcub. Full blind on Roasties. Nice defensive maneuvers. Now it's Jamili on the back foot. Kidney shot, Garrote Silence, full fear on Rubcub, but he preemptively got the sacrifice on Jamili to keep him alive. Nice plays here from both teams.
Yeah, beautiful plays. Avenging Crusader available. Maybe it's enough for Rubcub to turn around the pressure. He's being targeted down heavily. He seems to not be able to even handle it with the Avenging Crusader. They've got a stun though on Peekaboo as they look to reverse it. Full polymorph, no Master Spell available. But they do deny the repolymorph with the Mind Control. Avenging Crusader is still up. That's a lot of damage, Peekaboo. Your healer's in a stun. How are you going to make it out? WizK is trying to do everything he can to stall. So far, doing a great job. The Avenging Crusader is now over, but Vendetta is rolling. Roasties looks to roll over Peekaboo. He's on the run at 10%. WizK reconvening with the team. Ascendance comes up for Absterge. He gets one big splash heal with that, but even still stunned, and it is not enough. M2KC looking like they're going to be able to close this out. WizK has something else to say about it. Jamili's cauterized is rolling down. He's dead. WizK, the Shadow Shredder, dealing tons of damage here towards the end of the match and managing to pull it off in a 2 versus 3.
That's a full Hex on Rubcub. I mean, Rubcub's got no mana. Roasties could easily fall in
okay.
this situation. I mean, you would
Silence.
think going into this that the Assassination Rogue Paladin could win, but it's Roasties who has to run. Rubcub has to play catch-up. He's got no mana. Absurge and WizK, they have to play aggressive here. They cannot allow Rubcub to get a reset. If he tops off Roasties, it's going to be a nightmare situation. 50% dampening. Full Fear comes in. What is WizK going to do? He's actually going after Rubcub, it looks like. Roasties trying to shut that down with a kidney shot. Full Hex secured over onto Rubcub. Now Roasties has to run. This is actually very back and forth, but I feel like the move, if they can continue the pressure, they will win this.
Yeah, they've got all the momentum right now. Rubcub needs an Avenging Crusader, but he doesn't have mana for it. Roasties is just taking so much damage. Absurge is lobbing out lightning bolts. He's just zapping Roasties. Those lightning bolts look like tickle bolts, though, not doing too much damage. Rubcub avoids the fight, but I mean, for how much longer? You can't hide forever. Eventually, you're going to have to come out, and Absurge is going to force them to come out by repositioning for a res. Rubcub sees that. He's charging across to stop it. Stuns Absurge. Maybe an opportunity for Roasties, despite having nothing to take down WizK. He fades. He gets in the earthen wall totem. He counter pressures Roasties. He has to run, but his healer's way over there. That's quite a far ways away. He's going to chug up that Crimson Vial, heal himself up. Rubcub has to cross midfield. Absurge is right on top. Oh! Avenging Crusader. He just got enough mana for it. He's trying to get Judgments out to heal. If he gets some Crusader strikes, he's going to actually recover. I don't know if he's dead. No. Judgment, the Avenging Crusader is enough, maybe, for Rubcub to hold on. Absurge is now fully blinded. Rubcub's going to be doing a lot of damage, even though he's at 10%. And WizK actually doesn't have very much. He's got Void Shift, but he's crowd controlled. He's going to Void Shift over to Absurge, but now they made switch to Absurge. They're going to switch to Absurge. Both healers are looking like they're going to die at this point in time. WizK grips Absurge over. Rubcub barely holding on, running across the midfield. Roasties is
Absurge is dead.
I don't know if he's dead at this point.
Cloak of Shadows.
He's got the Cloak of Shadows. Roasties has everything he needs. Rubcub just needs to not die. He needs to not die. Absurge charging in, but this is dangerous for Absurge. This is such an insane game. Melee Wings procs. Rubcub gonna keep his team alive. Potentially, WizK trying to close it out. 60% dampening. Roasties has the Cloak of Shadows. He's not a great target right now. Rubcub realizes they can just hold on to the Cloak of Shadows. Roasties is gonna be able to throw that out. Rubcub sits down for a drink. What is he gonna do? Is he go for the res? Absurge, WizK, charge in. I don't think he's gonna be able to get it. That gets shut down. And now Roasties is really vulnerable. They may have thrown away the game.
I think it's over here. WizK getting in with some Shadow Word deaths and void bolts. Rubcub gets closed out. Roasties is still trying to kill Absurge, though. Can he take him down? He's mind controlled. Doesn't look like it. M2KC are going to tap out. MVP WizK carrying the team in the 2 versus 3 all the way to victory. The move take game 1.
I'll tell you what, we were saying earlier that we've seen the best game of the day, potentially the weekend. What a game between M2KC and the move. You cannot ask for better, ladies and gentlemen. The blind pick on Background Arena, and I mean, I know what it's going to come down to. I know exactly what's going through Zico's head. What was that ice block from Jamili? That was the game throw, surely.
Yeah, I mean, that was definitely a big point there. He ice blocked a mind control, actually, and it ended up costing them big time because they just fell so far behind. But Peekaboo, man, like, he is styling on these kids, just running around, just kiting Roasties back and forth. Every single time his kidney shot is off the R, and you know, there's a couple of rare overlaps on the side of the move, but this was like there, for example, with this Shadow Step kick and that silence, things like that kind of put them behind. But WizK, man, he had such a great game as well. All members of the move as well, you know, the pre-links on the kidney shot in the 2v2 and on the polymorphs here in this game. Honestly, everybody on the move just played phenomenally, and I think M2KC as well, they had a great game. This was just two really good teams just going back and forth at it, you know. Finally, they take down Peekaboo, but Jamili, no cooldowns left in the tank there, and here as well. This was the big throwaway. I actually think that Rubcub and Roasties had the 2v2 here. If Rubcub just didn't start going for a res, he should have just sat down and started drinking, and they could have just traded Cloak of Shadows for a drink tick and gotten a lot of pressure there, but instead he went for the res, got hit by a cap totem, which of course allows WizK to actually reach him behind that pillar and finish the game. So a little bit of a mistake there, but can you blame him? It's a, what, 63% dampening? But at that point, you know, the stakes are so high that a mistake like that can easily happen.
I feel like what mattered even more is why did you get off WizK? I mean, they got the Void Shift, Abster to look like a juicy target, I suppose, but when he's in Ghost Wolf, that's free healing for him. He was completely out of mana. WizK, I think, would have just died. He had literally nothing. So I think that was the main thing that threw away that 2v2.
Yeah, and that really is the thing on the Shadow Priest there, right? Like when Rosie's was sitting on WizK, he couldn't get a single attack on Rubcub, and as Shadow Priest, if you get 2 VTs up, you're getting more of your Void energy, you're obviously self-healing a little bit more, so just sitting on him seemed good. Rubcub as well, rare mistake from him. We normally talk about him being potentially the best Holy Paladin in the world, getting hit by that cap stun, like he should have seen it, honestly. He should have seen it, and as soon as it hit, ran away. Maybe small mistakes, but ultimately made for a fantastic game and is the kind of setting, I suppose, for a fantastic series here. The move had to do absolutely everything to even bring a cross kill in that game. So for them to win this series is still absolutely, I mean, it's going to be an uphill battle to say the very least. M2KC coming in with a very close first game. And as you said, Zico, during the analysis, I think that was the perfect way of summarizing it here. These are just two teams that are absolutely fantastic at their main compositions, and we're really getting to see this matchup, Sid, at the highest level.
Yeah, the move, though, they're taking a long time to lock in. Makes me wonder if they want to change anything on hook point. This is a very aggressive map, but nope, just going to be running it down, maybe considering their options, though, for the rest of the series. I expect that we're going to see the same comps for the entirety of this series, although maybe Absterge changes healers at some point, maybe a Druid or even a Paladin. But with the strength that these teams bring on these specific compositions, maybe they won't change at all. They want to just decide who is the better at their mains, and M2KC lock in the same. Hook point, though, yeah, I don't know if the move are going to be able to stay alive as long as they did on the Grand. The Grand is a lot bigger, and you can more easily escape, whereas on hook point, there's not really anywhere to escape. So M2KC's aggression is going to be spotlighted here on this map.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point. M2KC, they need to be playing really aggressive. I do also want to spotlight WizK a little bit in that last game. I feel like we didn't talk about him as much after the game because we talk about Peekaboo a lot on the move, obviously. He has a lot of fans, huge stream, everything. Make sure you check him out if you haven't already. But WizK really has been a backbone when it comes to, I mean, the move could play with anyone, right? Like, so many people would want to play with Absterge, want to play with Peekaboo, but they choose WizK even if Shadow Priest isn't the best matchup. I mean, you could just put a mage on this roster, for example, and it would be a rogue mage then, and that would be so much better, I think most people would say, in terms of composition. But they choose WizK on this Shadow Priest, and in that last game, Zico, he was an absolute legend. Mind controls, saving the day countless times.
Yeah, I mean, the void shifts, the mind controls, the fears to set up the kills, you know, everything, and chasing down the cross kill as well. WizK, he is also the person that has been multi-classing a lot for the move. He's been playing things like the DK, things like the Feral, and actually grabbing the move a lot of wins in situations where they normally wouldn't. Even last season, he was playing Destruction Warlock. And when it comes to Shadow Priest gameplay, this guy is about as good as you can get, you know, shutting down so many kills with the mind controls, with the fears, with the silences, you know, really having such good game awareness. And we're going to see if he can bring them another win here on hook point.
Yep, we will see it. M2KC one down, but looking for the advantage on the small map.
I mean, they're one down, but I feel like that game was pretty in favor of M2KC, at least for most of it, until just the absolute last second. Now on a smaller map where the move aren't going to have a lot of space to breathe, I think that gap is going to be even larger. Absterge targeted down early on here by M2KC. They're looking for baits on cooldowns. They haven't committed anything themselves. They do at least get Earthen Wall, but nothing else. The move looked to get aggressive, going after Rubcub as well. A bit of a healer all in from both sides. Rubcub escapes from that, almost scot-free as well. Another stun onto Absterge, big damage from Jamili, popping that combustion. Vendetta, Wombo combo, huge pressure. Gladiator Safeguard, Absorb needs to be enough. They Dragon Threat the whole team, looking for follow-up crowd control, but don't have it. They're going all in with just pure damage. They just want to overrun Absterge with nothing but pressure. He's on the run, but I mean, where can he really go? It's hook point. He's going to be abandoning his team. He's stuck. He has to use Spearling Totem to stabilize.
Yeah, he uses everything. I mean, in the last game, this is what they wanted to do, but Jamili messed up his talents, didn't have Kleptomania. This game goes for the Kleptomania. Every single time, Absterge gets caught into a kidney shot, a Hammer of Justice Justice. Kleptomania Spellsteal comes in, rips off the Ghost Wolf, rips off Earth Shield, rips off Riptide, and it makes it so Absterge becomes really vulnerable in every single stun lock. I really don't know how Absterge is going to survive. They're going to have to pull off miracles, need good crowd control onto Jamili, good mind controls from WizK, good counter pressure. Otherwise, I think Absterge is going to ultimately go down.
Yeah, it's not looking too good here for the move. How much longer can Absterge keep it up despite the onslaught of M2KC? He's at least going to get a couple seconds to breathe while there's pressure on Roasties. Peekaboo sets up for huge damage there with a kick on the healer and a stun on Roasties into a follow-up stun by Absterge. Good damage on Roasties right now. They pull Cloak of Shadows. This is the counter pressure that the move need if they want to stay alive here in game number 2.
Yep, Avenging Crusader comes in from Rubcub. Here we go. They're going after Peekaboo. They're actually changing their target. Full polymorph secured over on Absterge. Shadow Step kick on WizK. Good damage on Peekaboo. He's got no Cloak of Shadows. Evasion's about to fall. Evasive maneuvers coming in from Peekaboo. One of the slipperiest rogues in the game. Now going for a kidney shot onto Roasties. This is good counter pressure here from the move. They get the silence on Rubcub. He trinkets out of that. And now we'll have to see, do they have follow-up crowd control at all? I think he actually may have trinketed out of the blind into a silence is what happened. That's exactly what happened. Fear comes in from WizK, but Rubcub trading out his trinket for the blind. That's a fair trade. And now we'll have to see, can M2KC turn it around? Hammer of Justice on Absterge. I don't know if I like that they abandoned going after Absterge. It seemed like they had so much pressure with that strategy, but we'll have to see. Changing their attention over onto WizK. They've developed a decent amount of pressure, but there's still Dispersion, there's still the Greater Fade. Polymorph now onto Absterge. WizK, is he going to be able to get the Mass Dispel? It doesn't look like it just yet. Interrupts available for Jamili and Roasties. And now WizK, he's in a lot of trouble.
WizK's in a lot of trouble. Interrupted for a few more seconds. Trades out Dispersion, but overlap with the Gladiator Safeguard. 2 defensives for 1 assault. M2KC establishing a lead. Now with Combustion Vendetta available. When are M2KC going to go for the throat? When are they going to end this? They have a good opportunity. They're just waiting in the wings. They're going to blind Absterge. They're going to go after WizK. This is likely Void Shift if we see them go all in on cooldowns. They need more crowd control. They get the crowd control. They need to try and stop Void Shift, but I don't think they have a way to do so. Maybe they don't even have enough damage to get it. They smoke bomb to stop it. WizK can't get in line of sight to use Void Shift. Beautiful play by Roasties. M2KC tied up.
Yeah, we talked about it in the start of the game. It's going to come down to their offense on the small map. M2KC will claim game 2 to tie up the series.
Yeah, and that's one way to deal with WizK. If he's being too annoying when you're going after Peekaboo, just go after WizK. And, you know, the Void Shift, you want to be greedy with that cooldown because it's like you might be able to survive without actually using it at the very last seconds of those CC chains. You know, if the Shaman comes out, you would rather trade a Spirit Link. So I don't fault him too much for that, but the Smoke Bomb from Roasties was just such a nice play there that ended up securing them that win. So beautifully done here, you know, and this is what I mean. They get the crowd control here, sheep into sheep. WizK honestly didn't have to use his Dispersion there, but I think people aren't too used to tracking that Gladiator Safeguard. I think it just came back up there. I'm not sure because WizK, he overlapped it there a little bit, and that was on the triple DR polymorph there. So M2KC definitely going to run with that advantage. And WizK, he thinks, well, I have Trinket, so worst case scenario, I'll be able to Trinket and use my Void Shift. There's a full blind onto Absterge into that full sheep. WizK uses his Fear here. Jamili as well. Not going to be able to follow that up just yet, but the Hammer of Justice there on Absterge. As it lands, the Smoke Bomb gets dropped. So, you know, WizK just thought, okay, after the sheep, you know, I can Void Shift or Absterge can heal me instead. They follow up the Hammer of Justice with that beautiful Smoke Bomb and deny that opportunity.
Yep, clean game there coming out of M2KC. Well played by them. Good Smoke Bomb from Roasties. It brings them back in the series 1-1. This is an elimination series, ladies and gentlemen. We'll have 3 more games. 2 more wins for either side will eliminate the other from the competition. 1-1. What a great start to the series for M2KC. Obviously, the first game didn't quite go in their favor, but game 2 was looking better and better. The move now, once again, on their main composition is Absterge on that Restoration Shaman. Is it going to be enough? The move, as we've said, from the start of this series, they really need to find a victory here to make it to that top 4 and to keep themselves within the top 4 going into the summer finals.
Yeah, let's see what they can do. Right now, M2KC, they had a lot of momentum. Honestly, I feel like they threw away game number 1. They should have won that. I still feel like the move is on the back foot entirely. If they win this, it's going to be off the back of outplaying M2KC. M2KC, of course, going up against the move. I feel like their composition does have the advantage. They're playing well. They're getting good offensive plays. We saw Roasties with a beautiful smoke bomb in the last game, which did secure them the game. Blind into double Ring of Frost. Nicely done by Jamili. WizK with a beautiful defensive fear mass dispel. Good plays by WizK, freeing up his team, and now they can start getting some counter pressure rolling.
Jamili the target, but Rubcub's not in any crowd control, so he's going to stabilize quite easily. Jamili, Frost Nova, and Peekaboo, but dispelled by Absterge. Peekaboo in hot pursuit to close this out. Stun on Rubcub. Where's the follow-up? Don't have any, unfortunately. Defensive Dragon's Breath on Peekaboo by Jamili to try and stall out some damage. Looks like Peekaboo's going to come back and force Roasties away. The move are all stacked up together. M2KC are not going to overextend. A bit of a pause in the fight here. As I say that, Roasties and Jamili jumping right back in. Rubcub looking for crowd control, but gets silenced by Peekaboo. Peekaboo disrupting the entire team. Absterge trying to hex with cross crowd control. Jamili gets silenced. Perfect timing here by the move, but ultimately Rubcub escapes the crowd control. Avenging Crusader is going to be a big threat for the move, not only in terms of Rubcub's ability to recover, but also his added damage.
Yeah, and let's see if that damage is really going to pay off. Greater Fate comes in from WizK, avoiding a lot of the combustion damage available by Jamili. Double Dragon's Breath comes in onto Peekaboo, onto Absterge. Good control. Counter pressure onto Jamili. There's the kidney shot. What is Peekaboo going to be able to set up? I mean, on the last couple of games, it has come down to deep dampening before either one of these teams is really able to get a kill. WizK, with the way he's cycling through his defensives, it's really difficult to take him down. For M2KC, they do have the potential to just one-shot someone at any moment, so the move, they definitely have to stay sharp in this matchup. Rubcub's been doing a really good job with his Avenging Crusader, resetting a lot of the health bars of his team. Whenever they get low, he can pop the Avenging Crusader, top everyone off, and it just seems to be super effective against Shadow Priests in general. We're about 2.5 minutes into the game, halfway until dampening kicks in. Rubcub's mana, at around 65% right now. Absterge around 70, so relatively even for both these teams. But the stakes are just so high. This is a lower bracket game. One of these teams is going to be eliminated from the tournament. Right now, we're tied up in this series. But both of these teams, they have to start making deeper runs in the tournament, especially for the move. I mean, they're really behind at this point. If they want to make it to the summer finals, they need to have a good showing. And I think taking down M2KC in this matchup would speak volumes for them.
Good push by M2KC. They get dispersion from WizK. The defense of the move begins to crack, even despite their map pick. That's not looking good for the move overall. Can they rely on the Shadow Priest Rogue Shaman to overcome M2KC? Are they going to be forced off onto something else? WizK still the target. Roasties continues pushing forward. Rubcub not really backing him up too much, so Peekaboo's going to go after Roasties. He's overextended. Try to aggress him off of WizK, give WizK room to breathe. Absterge anticipated an attack. He dropped Earthen Wall. M2KC say, oh, hey, that's an Earthen Wall totem absolutely for free. We're going to take that deal, pull back for a second, wait for its defense to fade, and then make a push. Now looking to secure crowd control. Hammer of Justice, Ring of Frost. WizK's in a poly. No, it gets broken up by Peekaboo. No, it doesn't. Jamili still secures the polymorph. WizK gets shut down on his support. Triple Dragon's Breath by Jamili, isolating Peekaboo even further. But surprising to not see any significant cooldowns forced there in that exchange. It was good crowd control by M2KC, but the moves stay alive.
Yep, the move have done it. They've stabilized in the matchup. WizK has Dispersion rolling up in around 15 seconds. Rubcub with no trinket. Could be vulnerable, and I really like when the move does go after Rubcub, put pressure on him, but it seems like he's going to be fine. All three members kind of rotting down. WizK's been able to develop a lot of pressure. When they go after Peekaboo, it's kind of scary because that allows WizK to just free cast Vampiric Touches and get out quite a bit of damage. Roasty's under fire, and looks like Jamili's going to be peeling that up with the double Dragon's Breath, looking for a double Ring of Frost. Manages to find one. WizK, nice plays, actually uses the Greater Fade to avoid the Ring of Frost. Goes for the Master Spell, gets interrupted, but he's able to back up Jamili and now just spamming out the Vampiric Touches. After this Avenging Crusader falls, I think the move is going to start generating some pressure.
All right, let's see what they can do. Avenging Crusader is down. The time is nigh for the move to make their move. Absterge has recovered, but Rubcub's trying to drink. Absterge needs to stop it. He's making his way over. Does manage to poke Rubcub, stop him from drinking. But now Jamili and Roasties are falling behind. Kidney shot initiation here by Peekaboo. Going after Jamili. Rubcub trinkets blind, silenced on his trinket. Good reaction time by WizK. Unfortunately, no further crowd control. WizK fading a glider. What is this? Preemptive Spirit Link. Jamili threatening a polymorph on Absterge, so he wanted to use the preemptive Spirit Link. And now Spirit Link is out of the way now. That's a major defensive thrown out the window.
It wasn't any cooldowns either. Jamili wasn't using Combustion. That wasn't Vendetta committed. And now there's an opportunity to go after Absterge. Absterge could be in some trouble. Preemptive Astral Shift on that kidney shot. Nicely done by Absterge. Heads up play. Earthenwall Totem drops down. But now look. Absterge, no Spirit Link Totem. He's got no Astral Shift. He's got no Earthenwall Totem. And guess what? Rosys has Vendetta. Guess what? Jamili's going to have his Combustion. This is really scary for Absterge. They have to hold on. WizK needs to make sure he has his trinket available for that Void Shift. Rubcub is getting low. Peekaboo's been able to generate a lot of pressure. Actually, all 3 members of M2KC rotting down. Rubcub with the Avenging Crusader should be able to top off his team. Look at these heals coming in from Rubcub. If he can stay on target, he will top off all 3 members, and that really is the strength of the Holy Paladin.
All right, Rubcub, you can make the power play here. Avenging Crusader available. Absterge is in a stun. Jamili blinks in, gets the polymorph. WizK gets shut down. No, he doesn't actually. He sneaks in a Mass Dispel. Bit unfortunate there for M2KC. That could have been game-breaking if all 3 members could connect. Counterspell was available for Jamili, but not decided to be allocated during that period of time. Missed opportunity. Rubcub's trying to carry with the Avenging Crusader, but gets stunned up. Now Roasties is in a bit of trouble. Could be a Cloak of Shadows. If they can get 2-for-1 cooldowns during Avenging Crusader, that's certainly the lead that the move need to establish, but they're not finding it. Rubcub has now out of crowd control, stabilized the team, and looking A-OK as dampening continues to rise.
Yeah, 13% dampening, 7 minutes in. Rubcub's mana, 15%. Absterge a little bit ahead at, around 30%. Now full kidney shot onto Peekaboo. Looks like M2KC, they're looking for a good setup. Dragon's Breath onto WizK. Bringer Frost onto Absterge, but unfortunately unable to find the damage. Peekaboo shuts it down with the Trinket and Cloak of Shadows. Those are major defensive cooldowns. Without Evasion, Cloak of Shadows, and Trinket, Peekaboo's going to be a sitting duck the next time M2KC make a move. If they get crowd control on Absterge, it could just be the game. And I'm actually pretty sure Roasties has his blind up shortly. That's going to be the perfect storm to go after Peekaboo in this matchup.
All right, let's see.
There it is.
They can execute full blind. WizK gripping Absterge over, trying to maybe break the crowd control, but they don't break it. Peekaboo is still isolated. How much longer can he stay alive on his own? WizK is now out of crowd control. He's going to support with a double Psychic Scream. Peekaboo sets up stuns and silences as well across all 3 members, looking to build huge swings of momentum. They crush through the Temporal. They're looking for the Cauterize. Rubcub's interrupted and can't heal or sacrifice. Jamili hovering on such low health. Absterge goes for an aggressive concentrated flame, nets the Cauterize as a result. Rubcub is silenced. It's going to be a block. It's so surprising to not see an Ice Block. Ice Block Mass Dispelled by WizK. Pressure is still high. Roasties is low as well. Avenging Crusader going to be popped by Rubcub. He needs to connect with this, but he's hexed. Jamili dispels it instantly. Rubcub connects. Once again, carrying the team as the healer, but now crowd controlled. Both teams in crowd control. Absterge in a Ring of Frost. WizK being counter-aggressed. M2KC have stabilized. How much can they get? They really need to get a dispersion during this attack, but they're not finding it.
Yeah, and Jamili is going to be getting the Blessing and Protection to survive. That was the Vendetta. I like that trade by Rubcub. Vendetta gets traded out. Immediate Blessing and Protection, not allowing the move to generate any pressure. And sometimes those preemptive plays as a Paladin are absolutely the best. You don't wait too long. You just use it immediately, and you can stay ahead in a situation like that. Jamili moving forward, getting damage rolling on WizK. A full kidney shot does land. He's got the dispersion, but that's the only thing left. The Absterge, if he gets caught in crowd control, this is going to be a scary situation here for the move. They've gotten basically every defensive cooldown out of the way of Jamili, but they have to once again get him down low. And Rubcub has the ultimate sacrifice to keep him alive, but Peekaboo has forced Jamili to run away, retreat, and sort of recover in this situation. I mean, M2KC, they're all low right now. Rubcub has to play catch up. His mana isn't great, and Peekaboo's moving in for the kill.
Peekaboo is looking to secure victory for the move, but Rubcub still has the last out with the the Divine Shield ultimate he needs to do it now. Divine Shield ultimate sacrifice now out of the way. So this is looking good for the move. They've still got Spirit Link, they've got Dispersion, Evasion, they've got everything. I mean, this is looking like a solid Game 3 victory for the move. This is a series that could go all the way to Game 5. It appears like the maps play a huge factor. Absterge pre-links again.
That's it.
But I mean, it's over anyway, but these pre-links from Absterge could cost him a game. I'm not the biggest fan unless it's on a polymorph. He's been pre-linking beforehand, and I feel like it could cost them the game, but the move take their map pick, M2KC, we're likely going to something like a Black Rook hold is where I'm anticipating, and then how do the move deal with the small map?
I mean, I think it comes down to what you guys were all saying at the start of the game, is that if M2KC are to lose, if the move are to win, they simply need to outplay. You know, Absturge needs to pre-sheep some of those DRs, otherwise he won't get the Spirit Link. He's not running the Trinket. WizK needs to get those double fear master spells. Peekaboo needs to somehow style whilst being tunneled down. He needs to find opportunities. In this game, though, I feel like this was even better than the first game. This was the best from the move. And honestly, if they could pull off another one like that, they'll just win this series 3-1.
Yeah, for the move in this matchup, it's all about defense. And I was kind of hovering over Peekaboo a lot of the game, watching at his smoke bomb, and he had it available for such a long time. You know, Jamili doesn't have his ice block. Jamili doesn't have, you know, his cauterize, Rubcub as well. He has the ultimate sacrifice, but like at any point, Peekaboo can just connect, kidney shot, drop the smoke bomb, and potentially close out the game. But that's not what he's doing. He's just playing it calm. He's playing it very, very safely. You know, he just wants to play to survive. He knows Rubcub is losing out on his cooldowns. Like here, he can just smoke bomb if he wants. Instead, Shadow Step kicks, then beautiful Psychic Scream there, and then the blind comes out, and now he drops the smoke bomb, edges it right there, so Jamili is outside of it, denying the polymorph there, so Absturge doesn't get crowd controlled, so that they can survive for a longer period of time, so that they can win the game. They know it's a game that they just have to win. And Absturge, he drops that Spirit Link, which was a bit yikes, but it didn't really matter that much. I think he knows we got the game in the bag. I may as well throw it out in case this polymorph is on me, because I am off the art.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense because Peekaboo did come in with the smoke bomb to keep the polymorph from landing.
Yeah.
Just wanted to do whatever he could to keep his team aggressive. Maybe a little bit over presumptuous in that specific situation, but that's kind of the mentality this team has to have.
Yeah, I mean, you have to play to stay ahead. I mean, think on the flip side, you're literally seconds away from winning, and then you get caught up in a polymorph, and Jamili survives and you lose. Like, it's in situations like this, it's like, it reminds me a little bit of Sea-Doo as well with Method Orange when they were playing Windwalker DK. When they knew 100% we've won the game, they would just shove Spirit Link, shove everything just to stay ahead, so nothing can go wrong. So it's not that much of a thing that I would critique.
Yeah, okay, fair enough. The move, obviously 2-1 up. I think a lot of people, you know, we were saying that, I think the vote was 93%, or was it 87? I think 93. 87, okay. So 87% of you guys were expecting and hoping that the move would win this. So 87% of you are going to be very happy and convinced, quite honestly, by that one, because I think we on the desk probably still, I'll get a consensus of this actually, I'll pose this as a question, feel that the RM Paladin should have the advantage in this matchup into the Rogue Pre-Shaman. And yet, in that specific game, if you were to just watch that with no prior knowledge, you would say that the move and the RPS should have the lead, because that game looked really clean.
That game looked really clean. I mean, defensively, they did a really great job, but I just don't know if I mean, it's hard to tell because there's RPS and then there's the move, you know?
Yeah.
And they make it work somehow. I mean, Absturge now coming in on the Shaman. The Restoration Druid got nerfed by 10%, and he's saying, yep, you know what?
I'm back.
Time to play Shaman. Yep, Druid's out of the way, and they're making it work. I mean, they played RPS earlier on in the day. They won their first game, and now they're looking good in this series, quite honestly. I mean, that game was really solid. There wasn't too many openings for M2KC. Seems like if they go after Peekaboo, WizK has free reign to do whatever he wants. If they go after WizK does a great job surviving. I mean, with the way he's playing and rotating through his defensive cooldowns, there's really just not that many openings for M2KC, and slowly but surely in the match, the moves start developing a lead as you get into dampening.
Yeah, and this is something I want to talk about as well, is just the healer meta that we've seen this weekend. We've definitely still seen Druids. Druids are still definitely very much a top-tier healer, but we have seen everything else. You know, we've seen Zuniaki on the Discipline Priest. I would argue the Discipline Priest has still been the least represented this weekend, although, of course, he did win a cup last weekend. We definitely saw a lot of Mistweavers. We saw Drainer and Looney bringing those out. Now we're getting to see Resto Shamans. There was just a couple in Europe yesterday as well, and it really does kind of show that all these healers are working. And Sid, I want to talk to you a little bit about this one, because Sea-Doo was saying, you know, that he'll never play Shaman. I think even you said it yesterday, Venruki, that he asked to play Shaman with the Ret Paladin, and he was just like, no, I don't think Shaman's any good. But we are seeing some compositions where it seems to be potentially the strongest healer, certainly in some matchups.
I think it depends on if it has the comp to support it. The Shadow Priest Rogue brings a lot of utility, most importantly the Shadow Priest, as well as the Retribution Paladins bring a lot of utility. When we look at Method Orange, they don't have either of those specs.
Yeah.
So with the way Shaman is built right now, it needs a comp that supports it, and I don't think Method Orange have a comp that supports it. So that's probably why Sidu is so reluctant to play the Shaman, based on his experience with the compositions that are available to him. But here we go. Match point, Ruins of Lordaeron, and as it is a cemetery, it would be a fitting final resting place.
I feel like this might have been one of those matchups. I mean, maybe on the small map, but on the blind pick, if M2KC wins this and we go to a large map, I want Rosita Jones. I want Rubcub Druid. I want Rogue Mage Druid, honestly. I feel like that composition would be really good into the move. We saw it earlier with Get Your Boy Dog with a Windwalker Monk, and they almost won those games, and I feel like they could have played it a lot better, and I think Assassination Rogue is certainly better. WizK now getting low. Dispersion does get traded out. Really aggressive opener here coming in from M2KC. WizK on the back foot. Greater Fate already trades out as well. Hammer of Justice on Upsurge. Can they take WizK down so early on in the match? Garrote Silence comes in. M2KC, they're just throwing everything out. Rossi does manage to hold on to his Vendetta, so they still have that available as a tool. Kidney shot over on a WizK. Now trades out the Vendetta. WizK is going to be in a lot of trouble.
I mean, the small map is paying dividends for M2KC. They've pulled defensive after defensive during their initial assault. This is looking solid for them, and likely that we're going to a game number 5. But when we go to game number 5, it's going to be in the moves territory, and they've been finding convincing victory on the larger maps, which there are still a lot available. So overall, if you're a move fan, it's definitely looking good for them. They still could just close it out if M2KC can't find a kill before those deeper stages of dampening and they get overwhelmed from this consistent pressure. Beautiful Psychic Scream. WizK utilizing the map for his own advantage as well, realizing that M2KC are going to play a lot more stacked up in these close quarters. Psychic Scream becomes a lot more deadly of a crowd control. Silence, Kidney Shot crossed together perfectly by the move. Temporal Shield goes off but barely does anything. Silence kick, well set up by Peekaboo. This is likely a Cauterize. Cauterize is procced onto Jamili. He's on the run. Ultimate Sacrifice forced, and the move battle back.
Yeah, cheap shot on Jamili on that Ring of Frost, denying the crowd control into Garrote Silence. Peekaboo, so cheeky with the Vanish, gets the triple DR cheap shot on Jamili into a triple DR Garrote Silence to shut down that Ring of Frost and keep their team ahead. Now Jamili forced in the Ice Block. Honestly, Peekaboo is on fire. He is just destroying. He blinds Rubcub. Kidney shots his Trinket, just single-handedly winning the game. Do they have any more crowd control? There's the Silence. That is the move. That was so beautiful. I cannot wait to see the replay on that one.
I cannot wait to have Zico break down the replay on that. Peekaboo, you legend, what's he doing? The triple DR cheap shot on the Rob, into the Garrote, into the step kick, into the blind, into the kidney on the Trinket. This man is out of control right now, and he locks in top 4 for his team.
I mean, this is what I was talking about in game number 1. I was like, at any point, one of these guys can just win you the game, just 1 versus 3, basically. You know, in game number 1, it was kind of WizK, but now, you know, Peekaboo is like, hold up, wait a second.
Yeah.
We've played enough World of Warcraft for today. Let's take a break until Sunday. Let's finish out this game strong. And, I mean, that was incredible. He got the blind as well after that, and he kidney shot the Trinket. He was even going for a restuff to try to sap it. And then WizK came in with the silences. That was crazy. Peekaboo, what a legend. First of all, they force out the Cauterize here, you know. Peekaboo gets the just line of sighting, you know, avoiding a lot of the damage. He gets a lot of bleeds up here onto Jamili. And then, of course, they had the fear there from WizK. And then he's back on target, gets the kidney shot. There's a nice silence to combo with that kidney shot as well. And then, of course, here he goes for the cheap shot, I believe. No, his Shadow Step kick right there. Then he gets the Cauterize in that kick silence there. And then, of course, he keeps going, activates the sprint. And then WizK caught up in a kidney shot right now. There's the Ring of Frost. He Shadow Melts to stop the Ring of Frost from going off to keep his team ahead. Rubcub has the Ultimate Sacrifice up, and he does his best to try to fake cast that kick. Peekaboo immediately kicks right there, just steps to the side and pre-kicks him, then pre-blind into pre-kidney onto his Trinket. Upsurge goes for the Hex, forcing out the kidney shot onto himself, and then the Silent comes out, and then Rubcub has to use the global onto Bubble, and that is enough time for WizK to finish off the game and send the move to top 4.
It's unfair. Like, I feel bad for M2KC having to play against that. Peekaboo is just absolutely insane. I mean, I could see how they're willing with Jelly Beans on Mage now as well. I feel like any Mage could play with Peekaboo and they'll just crush the ladder because Peekaboo is a legend. He is a playmaker, he is a difference maker, and he has put the move through to the top 4 here. We could have a look at that bracket to confirm it, but I don't think much needs confirming. Obviously, it was 3-1 in this series. The move able to pull through. M2KC made it look scary at the start, but the move just, I mean, something captured them halfway through that series, and they look like a completely different team. Very much a threat going into Championship Sunday. Now we'll get to see who their opponents are. The move, you know, they're one of the teams tied up in that kind of medley for the 4th spot in the summer finals. If they can keep performing like this, if they can make the Rogue Shadowpriest Shaman work, you know, we've been saying it before on the desk, if that composition is in meta, they will potentially win BlizzCon with something like that. We'll see who their opponent is though, because these are the 2 other teams struggling for that top 4. It's Method Orange going up against Resurgent.